So I think the second thing internally that it did for me was are we good? We're good, okay. Greetings and salutations. It's your favorite flower, Daisy here, coming to you with a lock journey update. Boop, boop. Happy New Year, y'all. What it do, what it be, what's good, what's good. Happy Black History Month. I realized that nobody says Happy Black History Month like we say Merry Christmas or Happy Thanksgiving. So you know what? Let's start that up. Let's start that. So happy Black History Month to all my brothers and sisters. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's just get straight into the juicy stuff, the tea. Again, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the 7-year and 6-month update, aka 7.5 years, aka we're almost at 8, okay? And this video specifically is part of the revival era. Now, if you're just hopping in, I don't mind giving a brief synopsis of what the revival era is. So the revival era is something that I created last year, 2023, to basically mark the time period of me putting care, love, and understanding back into my locks and back into the journey. There was a period, specifically 2 years, 2020 to 2022, where I just didn't do diddly squat, and it just resulted into all this buildup, all this mess that I was just very displeased with. And that is where the revival era came in. So this video right here is part 3 of the era. It is the closing chapter of this time period. Part 1 was all about thinning. Part 2 was all about build up, and baby, part 3, part 3, the part we at right now is all about maintenance. What did I learn? What did this teach me? And how am I gonna move forward with taking what I learned in this journey and incorporating it back into my locks? Now we can move on to the overview of like what happened in between this little space, because I know I am here and my last update was in August of 2023, so we're about to go into that. So there's not too much to talk about right here. From August up until this point, February of 2024, I just washed my hair and I rarely retwisted it. I only retwisted 2 times. The first time was in October. I got my first set of professional headshots. The next time was November. I had 2 acting projects that month, so again, it called for me to retwist my hair. But other than those 2 times, your girl didn't touch it. Your girl did not do nothing, okay? Because honestly, I have this like nightmare in my head where like all the locks and like the front are just like falling off because I didn't care for them. My hairline is gonna start receding and get pushed back. I can clearly prevent it before getting to that point. I wanna leave that visual right there in my head and let that scare me to the point where it moves me to do these things. Pause. October is when my wife and I decided to record a lyric video to my single Spaceship, which is out on all platforms. Check it out. It's also on this channel if you don't want to leave the platform you're on now. We definitely did like a whole little music video type vibe to it, and it was really, really cool. And I'm only bringing this up to say that my vision was to have like shiny alien skin because, you know, spaceship, galactic, universe, all that jazz. I'm definitely pleased with the results, but when I tell y'all afterwards, getting the glitter out of my hair, I might just have to make a whole video about that because that was very alarming. I thought to this day you would still see little glitter specks, and I'm pretty sure there's probably like 1 or 2 still stuck in there, but that was a whole period in itself. I'll put like a picture here or maybe like some behind the scenes of what it looked like without the lighting and everything, but child, like all this was covered in glitter, and I had to get my face, you know, gotta go big or go home, gotta deliver the story, right? That was another moment in time where I washed it. I didn't retwist it just yet until like the November, but I definitely washed it right after that. That was crazy, okay? So yeah, I definitely just washed and retwisted twice, which I feel like is a really, really good thing. So I had a lot of auditions in the beginning of January in New York. So of course, once again, I feel like this was a good enough reason to go ahead and wash and retwist my hair. But this time, y'all, and I definitely have a video to show. But yeah, like this time I noticed, like the first time, you know, I washed it regularly and I'm going to retwist, and from the wash, I see all this stuff like caked up in my hair, like all at the roots. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, I was so distraught, y'all. Like, I was like, did I not just do a whole ACV rinse like a few months ago? I was just kind of confused as to why this was here. I've got two ideas. You know, my first thought is maybe in part 2 of the buildup, it just wasn't as deep and thorough as I thought it was, because it was a moment in time and I was working with what I had. I will say that. My second guess, and one that I'm not too proud of, is just like the slight lack of care that I had from when I posted the part 2 up until January. You know, there were some nights where I just didn't sleep with the bonnet, or maybe I just didn't know what kind of material I was wearing to the point where it started caking up. I also showed you guys I don't even know how to describe this, just the latter half of my locks, because I felt like there was no buildup right there. Even to this day with this video, probably comparing it to that, like there's no buildup. I'm pretty happy with where the rest of my locks are at. But that rooted part, like I was so annoyed. So I had a full bottle of apple cider vinegar that I took, and I'd say like a mini detox. Like I filled up the sink and then I sat there for a good 15 to 30 minutes squeezing, and then washed it out. Because it was just kind of one of those spare of the moment things, which I feel like I have the revival era to thank for that, for instilling that discipline in me. Because I feel like past me would have been like, man, bump that. Catch it next time. But I felt like if I didn't tackle this now, it's only going to get worse. That's the whole reason why I did this. So might as well just get it out the way. Today is February 8th, and I think I did that like mid-January. So like January 17th, 18th is when I washed and retwist. So what you're looking at now is the results of that. I haven't touched it. I haven't retwisted the first 2 rows. I haven't done anything. I've oiled it since then, but that's about it. I've kind of come to the conclusion that this year, somewhere between now and before I hit 8 years, I'm probably gonna see someone professionally. Like I'm probably gonna have to see someone professionally to get like a deep, thorough cleanse and like the sink that I need. That's just gonna be a really big moment for me. In all of the 7 years of my lock journey, I have never gone to anyone, ever. I'm not going to any loctician. I'm really big on that too. Like just the transfer of energy. I just don't want people in my hair. But I think for the sake of my locks, I'm just gonna have to make that decision. But I'm definitely gonna bring you guys along with me. Now we're gonna talk about the maintenance, which is the main idea of this video. And ultimately, you know, the ending of a period, the ending of a time, you know? The maintenance is basically going to be my routine that I'm going to do moving forward, how I'm going to upkeep and maintain the health of my locks. So the first thing that I'm going to do is wash once a month. Like that's inevitable, that's non-negotiable, that's what's going to happen, washing every month. But I'm not going to retwist every month. I just don't think that there's a need to retwist every month unless I have to. Like if I've got a role, if I'm filming, if I'm recording something, or if it's just a professional obligation, or if the retwist, if the new growth really is getting to that point, then I will retwist. And I'll always note that, I'll always document that in the journey, but there's no need to retwist every month, so I'm not gonna do that. Oiling, I've decided to oil twice a week. I have a satin bonnet from my local beauty supply store. Nothing spectacular about this bonnet. Sleep in it every night. And rose water. I used to be rose watering my hair up and down all the time, and literally that stopped tremendously. So I mean, that's something that I'm going to incorporate in my lock journey as well. That's the maintenance. That's it. And it's very simple, but I feel like it took such a difficult, challenging, complex road to get to this simple answer. But what I've learned recently from the book that I'm reading is that the answer is within the problem. You just gotta be willing to dive in. As far as an ACV rinse or any type of detox, so of course I want to make sure that I'm not accumulating any kind of buildup, or at least I'm minimalizing the chances of buildup returning into my hair. I've decided that I'm going to do a deep ACV cleanse twice a year. Once in the first 6 months, in the first half of the year, and another one at the last 6 months, in the last half of the year. Now that is officially the end of the maintenance. Last but not least, we have changes. Changes. This revival era taught me a lot. I want to talk about the changes internally and externally. I'm just going to start with the external because there's not a lot to say there. So the first thing is the texture. I have been told that my hair is softer now than before. I did want to note that I feel like because of my locks maturing and my hair kind of knowing what it's doing now, I think another change I've noticed is that my retwists last longer than they would have in the beginning of my journey. In the beginning, I retwisted every month, and I felt like after the 4th or 5th day, the retwist was gone. What you're looking at right now is the result of almost a month into a retwist, and it's just nowhere near as puffy. It's nowhere near as, I feel like, as chaotic as it could have been. It's still a look, it's still a vibe, and it just supports the whole not retwisting every month thing. The biggest change, of course, is this length, and I left this for last. This is the last change I have externally, because other than these 3 things, I don't really know what else there is to say about my locks, like what has like really changed. But of course, the length is just the first thing that you notice. It's a given. And it's funny because I prayed up and down, y'all. I prayed up and down. I did not think it was possible for my hair to be this long. So although I've exceeded my expectations and I feel like a baddie, you feel me, walking the streets, it's like a blessing and a curse. Like, I wanted this for so long, and I'm just noticing certain challenges with it. Certain things that I did before, I can't do now. My thing is the whole washing thing. Like, I'm the type of person, and I don't know if it's just me that does this, because I have met people who don't squeeze their locks when they wash like I do. When I wash my hair, like, I'm not only washing my roots, I'm washing all of this. Like, I'm putting shampoo on all this, and all of this is getting sudsy and bubbles, and I need to see like white soap bubbles all over my hair. And I have to do that a good 2 to 3 times. I wash my hair 3 times, and I've always done that since the beginning. But now, oof, this length, it just kind of makes you like, my arms. My arms were hurting so bad in January last month. Didn't even want to do it anymore. I'm gonna keep it real. But you gotta persevere. You gotta keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Also, like, even with everyday activity, like, I have to keep reminding myself of part 1 of the revival era, and I'm like, okay, I can't always put my hair up in a bun because then it'll thin out this part of my locks. I can't keep like doing this either, like just putting it up like that, because it's still resulting in like thinning in different areas. It's causing dents in different areas. If I put it in a ponytail, I don't double tie it. I just kind of leave it, the scrunchie, like that first, like I just put it through the scrunchie one time and just leave it. You know, when I'm drawing and stuff, I might want my hair out my face, I might go on and get a scrunchie. But everyday activities, some things seem challenging than others, like even when it comes down to wearing a hat. But those are all the changes that I've experienced externally. Internally, I feel like internally the revival era just reminded me why I decided to lock my hair in the first place. I was just reconnected to my why. It's like, yeah, I'm frustrated, but I'm frustrated because I wasn't consistent in keeping up with my hair. And why wasn't I consistent in keeping up with my hair? That answer to that question is unrelated to the lock journey, but just going through life. I feel like I prioritize other things and people over myself and over my locks. And it's a reminder that even though I didn't care for my locks in those 2 years, the locks didn't stop growing. Time moves on, and I have to go along and move with it. The second thing internally that I think it did for me was instill some muscle memory. Again, I think I've been out of the game for a while. I think I've forgotten what it's like to post videos consistently, and so there were just some moments where I just didn't feel like doing it because I felt like it was too much work, or I just felt like I didn't have the time. But it's like, you gotta make time. Because when I was in Nashville, I was a full-time student, and at one point I had a full-time job, and then I have extracurricular activities outside of class, and I was still posting. It may not have been every month on the 8th, but I was posting consistently. It's just kind of time to like dead it. Like, I understand I had a moment and I've given myself that time to mourn and do all of that, change and grow. But if I want certain things, then I'm gonna have to do certain things. It's just cause and effect. And so it was that whole realization of like, wow, like I really need to sit here and think and write out my notes and write out what I'm going to say. I feel like social media, what it's growing into and like what it's become, was also a hesitant factor for me, because I didn't really start my YouTube in this era of social media that it's gotten to now. And so I honestly felt kind of lost also in that space of kind of like, where do I belong, when it kind of feels like this is for business and it's not for fun anymore. And it was all of that as well. It just seemed more like an obligation rather than something that I wanted to do because I decided to do that. I don't want to do it because I have to or feel forced, you know? So there was that whole thing, which again, different video, different topic, different time, but it's coming. It's coming though. But yeah, it was like that whole thing too. Like, I was just kind of like, The last and final internal change that I think it did was just ignite the fire in me to continue what I started. It just kind of reminded me of why I started my YouTube channel, why I decided to document my journey, and it reminded me of the ideas that I had for my channel and the things that could have been had I just focused on myself and not been so worried about outside forces. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's basically it. It just ignited this fire. Like, I'm ready. I'm tired of talking. I just want to be about it. So that's what that is. And moving on to what's next, I had this whole spiel about the longevity of my channel and where does the lock journey era like go from here. But I've got ideas for videos and I've got topics for videos that I still relate to my lock journey, so it's not over just yet. Ooh, you thought I was gonna say something else, huh? I thought that there was no purpose for lock journey videos at one point, like way deep in the back of my mind, but I thought that I could play around with a few things. There's some questions that I just never answered, and there's things that I feel like I can put out there. I do feel like I have a valid opinion when it comes to the lock game. So yeah, like, we'll see when that comes out. Catch me when you catch me. I don't want to make any promises, but your girl is trying, and there's some changes being made behind the scenes, so just be on the lookout for that on what's next. But yeah, y'all, that's a wrap. It's a motherfucking wrap. I hope everyone is well. I hope everything is good. Like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all up to? Tell me what is up. Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, you know, in the comments, okay? Don't get too deep. It's Black History Month. It's still the beginning, so let's turn it. Let's celebrate all month long, because I know I will be. I will see you all on the next video. Peace. Much love.